Have you ever walked into a store with a single item in mind, only to find yourself paralyzed by the overwhelming number of choices? The endless brands, flavors, and variations. It's like trying to pick a star from the night sky. Too many, too bright, and too far away to focus. This is the paradox of choice. Barry Schwartz, a renowned psychologist, argues that having too many choices doesn't make us happier. It makes us more anxious. Imagine standing in that store, but instead of 3 choices, you're faced with 50. Would you feel more empowered? Or would you freeze in uncertainty, questioning every option? Research from psychological science reveals something surprising. When given more options, we're more likely to experience choice overload. A study showed that consumers were more likely to buy a product when they were offered 6 options, compared to 24. Too many choices leave us stuck, unable to make a decision. Have you ever spent 30 minutes scrolling through Netflix, only to end up watching the same show you've already seen, because picking a new one felt too exhausting? The more options we have, the harder it is to commit. Centuries ago, people didn't have the luxury of choice. They bought what they could find, and they lived with it. Think about it. In ancient Rome, merchants sold their goods in small, bustling markets. No online stores, no department stores, just a few things to choose from. Life was simpler. Fast forward to today, and things have changed dramatically. Today, we're bombarded with endless choices at every corner, shopping online, browsing social media, even choosing a partner, all from a sea of options. And while that may seem like a luxury, it's actually costing us more than we realize. A recent survey found that 60% of people feel overwhelmed when faced with too many options. They reported feeling anxious, indecisive, and often regretting the choices they made. When we have more options, we expect more, and the fear of making the wrong choice grows. As Schwartz puts it, the more options we have, the more we fear making a mistake. This fear of making the wrong decision leads to regret, dissatisfaction, and ultimately less happiness. But here's a question for you. Have you ever made a decision, only to regret it later, because you were too caught up in the options? So, what's the answer? Should we limit our choices to find happiness? Or is the fear of choosing less holding us back from experiencing more joy? If you could make fewer decisions every day, would you feel more at peace or more restricted? In today's world, even choosing a life partner has become part of the paradox of choice. With dating apps and social media, we're presented with thousands of potential partners at the swipe of a finger. The sheer number of choices can be exhilarating at first, but it can also leave us wondering, how do we know if we've made the right choice? Research suggests that more options can lead to more indecision and dissatisfaction when it comes to romantic relationships. Barry Schwartz suggests that the abundance of choices can lead to what's called decision paralysis. When it comes to love, this means we may become more focused on finding the perfect partner, someone who checks all the boxes, rather than nurturing a deeper connection with the person in front of us. Ironically, the pressure to make the right choice might actually hinder us from truly experiencing love. In the past, finding a life partner didn't require scrolling through profiles, comparing options, and worrying about potential regrets. People were often introduced through community, family, or shared experiences, and they made their decisions based on emotional connection, compatibility, and shared values. The act of choosing a partner was less about finding perfection and more about finding someone with whom you could build a life together. Today, however, with the rise of dating apps and social media, we're constantly comparing our relationships with others. We often hear advice from friends, family, or even strangers online, influencing our thoughts on what makes the right partner. These external pressures can create unrealistic expectations, and before we know it, we may start questioning whether we've made the best choice. In the end, it's important to realize that no relationship is without its challenges. No partner is perfect. Perhaps the key to choosing a life partner in today's world is shifting our focus from abundance to intentionality. Instead of feeling pressured to choose from an endless array of options, we can focus on building meaningful, authentic connections with people who truly align with our values and goals. Rather than being consumed by the fear of missing out on someone better, we can embrace the beauty of commitment and the shared journey that comes with choosing one person to spend our lives with. The paradox of choice in relationships may not be about the number of options available, but about how we approach our choices. The decision to commit to a partner should be one rooted in deep understanding, shared vision, and emotional fulfillment, not based on comparison or perfection. It's about choosing to invest in love, trust, and companionship, and finding peace in the decision we make, knowing that true happiness lies in the simple, genuine connections we nurture. And the same thing with choosing a career. It is another area where the paradox of choice plays a major role. In today's competitive job market, we're flooded with opportunities and options. The digital age has made it easier to apply for jobs with just a click, but with so many choices, it can feel overwhelming. The pressure to find the perfect job, one that provides not only financial stability, but also personal fulfillment, can paralyze us. As a result, we may end up stuck in a cycle of indecision, constantly second-guessing our choices. Research suggests that when we have too many options, our expectations increase, and so does our anxiety. In the case of careers, the abundance of options doesn't necessarily lead to greater satisfaction. Rather than feeling empowered, we often feel overwhelmed, unable to commit to a path, and fearing that we'll choose the wrong one. In fact, people with fewer job options report feeling less stressed and more focused on their growth and achievements. This paradox extends to our personal relationships as well. In friendships, we may struggle with maintaining deep, meaningful connections when we're constantly seeking out new acquaintances or comparing our friendships to those of others on social media. The abundance of connections we can make online can ironically lead to a sense of isolation. As we spread ourselves too thin and lose sight of the value in nurturing the friendships we already have. Instead of trying to curate the perfect circle of friends, perhaps we should focus on the quality of relationships, not the quantity. When we simplify our social lives and invest deeply in the friendships that truly matter, we allow ourselves to experience more authentic connections, and with that, greater happiness. Life's major decisions, such as where to live, are also affected by the paradox of choice. With so many cities and countries to choose from, it's easy to feel paralyzed, wondering if we've selected the right place to call home. The endless list of options creates a pressure to make the best choice. But sometimes this can lead us to overthink every detail and overlook the beauty of settling into a place that feels right, not perfect. One way to counter the stress of too many options in life is to embrace simplicity. Just like in choosing a meal or a place to live, reducing our options can free up mental energy to focus on what truly matters. In career decisions, relationships, or even in choosing a place to live, it's not about having the most choice, it's about making the choice that aligns with our core values and desires. The fear of making a wrong choice often fades when we trust ourselves and embrace a sense of commitment to the path we've chosen. By simplifying our choices, we can begin to reclaim our peace of mind. Whether it's focusing on one career path, deepening our existing friendships, or committing to a life goal, we free ourselves from the paralyzing effect of endless options. The key is to recognize that fewer choices can often lead to greater clarity, more fulfillment, and ultimately, a more meaningful life. When we let go of the pressure to always seek out the best option and instead focus on making deliberate, meaningful choices, we can experience a sense of contentment that comes from truly embracing our decisions. The paradox of choice doesn't just apply to love or career, it's present in every area of life, from friendships to personal growth. It's not about more choices. It's about the choices that make life simpler, richer, and more joyful. The beauty of life lies in simplicity. Choosing fewer options might feel restrictive at first, but the clarity it brings could be the key to a more peaceful, content life. Imagine if you could reduce the noise and focus on the essence of what truly brings you joy. The paradox of choice is simple. More doesn't always mean better. In fact, less might be the secret to finding true happiness. So, what's your take? Do you believe that fewer choices would make your life easier or harder? Let me know in the comments below.